Well, directly after Sarah died, the children were there. They went into the room within 4 or 5 minutes of their mum passing away. And they all said their goodbyes, but I think I remember thinking, oh, this is a bit weird, I don't know that this is right. And they said, well, what we'd like to do is we're going to go and make some tea and sandwiches if you'd like to go away and come back, which is what we did. And then we sat in there drinking tea and eating sandwiches, and the children went and picked some flowers out of the garden at the hospice, and they put them on their mum's body, and we all sat there. And I remember distinctly thinking, is this right? Is this not right? I was really a bit confused. I was confused anyway, because obviously I knew what was coming, but once it had arrived, how you dealt with it, it wasn't what I expected, if I'm honest. But we did. We had the tea, we had the sandwiches. The children laid flowers and said their goodbyes to their mum. And then they all went back out into the cafeteria area. I stayed there for a while, and then we sort of left. And you're just numb, really. I remember just feeling numb and totally shell-shocked, really. I knew what was coming, but I was shell-shocked and couldn't take it all in, the enormity of it all. Anyway, we carried on going back to the hospice, and I remember I went to a support group with other bereaved parents, and it was within 2 months of my wife passing, and I was still very raw, and found I couldn't really say a lot. I tended to listen, but I didn't want to say a lot, because I knew if I did, I would get upset. So I listened, but then over a period I found that I was listening to other parents within the group, and they were describing how it had been for them, and they were further down the line than I was. They were sort of 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, and you sort of realise that they were actually carrying on, starting to pick up and try and carry on with their lives and living a different life, a new life, not the life they would have chose, but a life nevertheless that they were moving forward. And I carried on going to see a counsellor at the hospice for a period of about 18 months, and I would chat to her, offload, tell her what was going on with the children, and children obviously to try and help them to come to terms with what had happened. They knew their mum had gone, but they didn't know what the concept of death meant. And I remember my youngest one, my wife was buried, and I'd said to them we were going to go to the grave, and it was fairly early on. It was in sort of the first couple of months, and we'd been before, but I remember saying we're going to go and see Mum's grave. And because he was young, all he actually heard me say was, we're going to go and see Mum. And looking back on it now, obviously at the time, he didn't know what a grave was. But what he heard as a 4.5, 5-year-old child was, we're going to see Mum. So when we got to the grave, he got really upset, because he obviously thought he was going to see his mum, and I didn't really put 2 and 2 together until I reflected on it and thought about it, and I thought, well, he didn't know what a grave was. And anyway, it just made me realise that how, as an adult, you just assume that children understand, and you talk in a way that they don't understand. And the hospice helped me to talk to them on a level that they would understand. So I got various books about animals dying, would read those stories to them, and they were very good at it. It gave them a level of understanding as to how all the animals lived happily in the wood, and one day Mr. Fox didn't feel so good, and then he went out and he sat under his tree and he fell down and died, and everyone was sad for a while in the wood. But then as the seasons changed and time moved on, they realised that Mr. Fox would like everyone to be happy. He wouldn't want them to be around sad, he'd want them to be happy. And that helped them to understand fully what was going on. It helped me to talk to them, which again was what it was all about. And to this day now, we still do go to the hospice, and they still do art and craft based activities, and they do they might decorate a candle, or they might make a picture, and it might be a favourite memory that they had that they did with their mum, and it's about keeping it topical. And I still like to go. You can dip in and dip out. I don't go to the adult support group anymore. I don't feel that maybe I get or have anything to give sometimes. I feel there's other people, because I'm that little bit further on now. You change, you go through different processes with grieving. Again, everyone's different at different times, but for me now, I'm in a place where I still get upset about it, but I feel as though I'm more in control of my emotions as to when I talk about it. You still do get caught out, if I'm honest, sometimes, but that's, I'm not worried about that. And I think the children enjoy going to the hospice. They enjoy going. They don't see it as where their mum passed away. They see it as somewhere where they go and they can talk about their mum, remember their mum, and they meet other children of the same age, and other parents that are there, and they helps them to realise that we're not the only ones who have to live through it, and that there's nothing wrong with talking about mum and remembering all the happy times that we did have, and making more happy times. But as the family we are now, maybe not the family we would want to be, but that doesn't mean to say we can't be happy and we can't go out and enjoy our lives. And that's what the hospice, I think, helps us to do. And we are moving forward, I say. And I think because of the children growing as they are, with their ages, and they go through different phases, as you do as an adult as well, but I think for them it's important that they feel they can go there and they can talk about it. And I do think that my son feels he can talk about it because we keep it open and out there on the table, and he's honest with what he's feeling. And I think that is because of what's gone on and the right support that we've had through the hospice. And they're not there just to, obviously, when your partner's gravely ill and having palliative care, and if I'm honest, you do tend to think that's why a hospice is there, but they offer so much more than just that. They offer the support to the family and surrounding family, who are involved in the whole process, both before death and after death. And there's no, time limit on when you go or how long you go for. You can go as and when you think you need to go. You're always made to feel welcome, and they're always there to offer you any support and advice you require.